As the human population continues to grow, we are looking for new and more efficient ways to grow crops. The global population is expected to increase to 9.7 billion by 2050, which means the world's farmers will have to grow about 70% more food. Aeroponics, a method of growing plants in a moist environment, is a convenient and relatively new method of growing plants that is becoming progressively more popular throughout the world. Therefore, knowledge of the new practice of aeroponics is an important first step to ensuring this impactful new scientific discovery becomes more universally used. Aeroponics is a plant cultivation technique in which the roots of the plants being grown hang suspended in the air while nutrient solution is delivered to them in the form of a very fine mist. An aeroponic system needs quite a few components for healthy plant growth. The main part of an aeroponic system is the reservoir, which is where all of the nutrients and water is stored. It is a closed-loop system, which means that when the water is sprayed up to the plants that are hanging above, the excess just falls back into the reservoir and is then resprayed later. Connected to the bottom of the reservoir is a water pump that is used to pump the water through the piping to the misting nozzle. One of the most important parts of an aeroponic system is the repeat cycle timer, because this is the component that controls how often the plants are given nutrients and water. Then there are the misting nozzles that spray the water up to the plants in the form of mist. An important thing to remember is that the smaller the mist droplet, the easier it is for the plant to absorb. Finally, there are the net cups and grow chambers, which are the components that hold the plants. Disadvantages are important to discuss in order to fully understand aeroponics. One main disadvantage is that there is dependence on the system because an aeroponic system is made up of high-pressure pumps, sprinklers, and timers. So if they break, your plants could be damaged quite easily. However, this is not very likely if your system is built well. Also, in order to build an aeroponic system, there is a certain amount of technical knowledge required. For example, the amount of nutrients that your plants need, because there is no soil or substance to soak up the excess nutrients. Finally, there is a high starting expense for an aeroponic system because you have to buy all of the materials needed. However, you then need to use less nutrients and water, which will then lead to it costing less money in the long term. There are also various benefits of aeroponics that must be understood and discussed in order for it to be used more in the future. First off, aeroponics have fast plant growth because the plant roots are constantly exposed to oxygen, leading to the crops growing at a faster rate. Aeroponics have easy system maintenance as all you need to do is maintain the root chamber and systematically the reservoir and irrigation channels because of its constant exposure to a moist environment which can provoke bacterial growth. In the future, more efficient ways of farming will be essential and aeroponics is just what we need. Aeroponic plants need less nutrients and water on average because the nutrient absorption rate is much higher. In addition, the mobility of aeroponics is relatively flexible as the only thing that is required is moving the plants from one collar to another. With our world population quickly growing, we must use methods that use less space, and aeroponic systems can be vertically built. Finally, aeroponics is a great education system as you can learn a lot about plants without having to get your hands dirty. In conclusion, although there are some disadvantages of aeroponics, the advantages greatly outweigh them. In order to ensure that this brilliant new method of growing plants is used more in the future, we need to compare aeroponics to traditional farming, which is by far the most common farming method in the world today. One of the main benefits of aeroponics is the small amount of nutrients it uses, including water. In fact, aeroponics uses 95% less water than traditional farming or field farming. With aeroponics, you can use the exact same seed from a field and grow it in half the time that a farmer can with traditional farming, which leads to 390 times more productivity per square foot. Using aeroponic technology, researchers have found that the plants being grown were more than 30% larger on average compared to traditional farming. For example, kale had a 65% increase, bell peppers had a 53% increase, and cucumbers had a 7% increase. With traditional farming, a lot of space is required. The problem is The problem is that we are beginning to have less space because of this. In fact, we are losing about 3,000 acres of land every day for farmland development. Aeroponics is a great solution for that, as it only uses 10% of the room that traditional farming does. In conclusion, aeroponics is a much more efficient way of growing crops compared to a traditional farming. Finally, aeroponics can be the best option from people who live in the country to people that live in cities. For people who live in apartments, it could be the only practical way to garden. For farmers that want to grow a large amount of crops, it could end up being cheaper than having to buy a whole plot of land. And on arid lands, aeroponics could be the best option, as it uses 95% less water than traditional farming. Therefore, aeroponics should be used more in the future.
Basically, like I said before, there's no rain inside there. You know, there's no cloud cover. There's no temperature fluctuation change. So you can pretty much have a controlled environment 100% of the time. So that's you know, to your advantage. And then with hydroponics, you can use the sun as well. So with those other factors, then that just means that you get the exact same nutrient content every day, even if you put it outside, you know, because you can put this over a grow light and they'll grow, or you can stick it outside, you know, and they'll still grow outside too. So if you stick them outside, then you're controlling everything that's in here, you know. Oops. Everything here is being controlled, and then, but yeah, if it's inside, then everything's controlled. So that's, I think, the main thing, and it's a growing industry. You know, it's picking up in the world. Everyone's starting to do it. People are interested in it. So those are the main reasons. And
In order to build a system, we're going to need like all of these different parts. So first we have 7 of these 1/2-inch PVC tees, and then we have 4 of the 1/2-inch elbows, and then we have this piece, which will like, this is the pump, and this piece will like screw into here. And then we have a tape measure to like measure the box, and this is the box that I'm going to be using. And then we have a hole saw to like drill into the top. And then we have an 11/64 drill bit, which will make these be able to go into the PVC, these are the actual sprinklers, and they're in different angles. And then we have a pipe cutter in order to cut the pipe, of course. And then we have these 1/2-inch net cups for like the plants. And then finally, we have this 10-foot long thing of 1/2-inch PVC, which is what's gonna go inside the box. The first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna measure this, which is about 20 inches or so. But we're also gonna have like these corner pieces on them, so you need to like measure with these pieces. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick this on the end, and then this is like this, so it'll be about 18. Now what you're gonna do next is you're gonna put this onto here and then measure out 18 inches, which is about right here. Now you're gonna cut it and you're gonna press down, make sure it's even, not slanted. And you're gonna have to like keep letting go and then pressing again. Like keep on doing that. So you can see it going down. Just keep going and then it's gonna snap. And there you have your 18 inches. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna put the corner pieces on the end and you're gonna make sure they're straight. And then you're gonna measure it out to see if it fits. And ours is perfect. So you want to make it fit like that. And then now what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing for this side. Okay, so basically what I just did is I held this piece here and then I drew a line right here to make them even. And then now what you're going to do again is you are going to cut it again. So now that we have these two, which are gonna go on this side, we need to measure out them for these two sides. Okay, so now that we measured that it was about like 1 foot, then you're gonna take this, put this here, and then you're gonna mark 1 foot. And that's where you're gonna cut. Okay, so now that we have this piece, we're gonna stick it into these to make sure that it fits properly into this. So now you're gonna do the same thing that you did with the other one. So you're gonna like hold it up, and then you're gonna draw a line so that it's equal, and then you're going to cut it. So now you're gonna take this piece and you're going to stick it into here. And as you can see, now we have the main base. These actually need to go here, so we'll have like bars running along. So what you need to do is you need to put these on here, and then you're gonna draw lines here where you need to cut the pipe. And then you're gonna cut there, and you're gonna do the same with this one. So now you're gonna cut it just like you did with everything else. There you go. And then you're actually gonna do it on this line too. There you go. And then this will go into here. And then you'll have this piece, which will go right there. And then you'll have to do it with the other one, and then like, you got it. Okay, so basically I just cut these 3 pieces and then I just stuck them all together. And now I'm gonna be doing that same thing for this side now. Whole thing. And now we need to put PVC pipes here, and then we're gonna have them connecting here too. So now we need the pieces that go here. I cut out 2 sides of these and I stuck that together, and I also cut out here for this part, and then this is gonna go down and connect into the filter like this. Okay, and now I need to do the same thing on this side. Okay, so now I have it on both sides and I'm all done. And now I need to drill holes here, which these are gonna go to, which are gonna mist the water up to the plants. Now I'm just tracing out the circles, and then I'm gonna drill them out. And these cups are gonna go in now. Okay, stop.